The masterpiece from 1993, Super Mario. So we watched it a few days ago, right?
Yep.
You hadn't seen it. You said in at least 10 years.
At least 10.
Okay. I thought it was funny when I don't think you can stream it. I don't think it's available to stream. Luckily, I have the DVD.
Luckily, you own it because it's a classic. Because
I bought it at some point when I was probably intoxicated when I purchased that movie. But I don't know.
It's a Blockbuster video cover. Like
yes.
That
yes.
Movie cover is a classic.
The logo with John Leguizamo, Bob Hoskins, like let's go.
Yeah, it's a classic.
I have seen it within the last couple years because I introduced it to my children because they had started playing Mario Brothers. So I was like, oh, you need to watch this dog shit that I thought was a lot better than it was. And then we watched it and I was like, I didn't realize how bad that movie was. Okay. Like, I feel like we could sit here and talk about this movie way more than the new movie because there's so much going on, right?
So, and I think that line you just said, we probably said every 5 seconds during the movie is, I don't remember this being this bad. Mm-hmm. It was awful.
It's bad. It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie.
It's awful.
So what do you think was the worst bits of it? Like, what were you watching and you're like, I can't believe this is happening? Or like, okay, let's talk about the performances, right? So
that's what I was going to say. The acting to start. Mm-hmm. At the very beginning, the big evil plumbing corporation is basically ran by like a mafioso.
The mob, like what Scapelli, like that is the tannest man I've ever seen in a movie that I don't think is supposed to be tan.
I think the female lead, and I guess this whole podcast just makes me sound like I hate on female leads, but he was the worst actor out of everyone. And
Princess Daisy, right? It's not Peach, it's Daisy.
Oh yeah. So in both movies, Daisy, I felt like I was watching like in like high school they have those like teaching educational videos of like, don't be a bully, and then they show like a skit of a bully. Yeah. Like that's her acting level in this movie. But really, what I thought was awful was at the beginning when this mafia guy shows up to shut down their excavation site in the middle of Manhattan or the Bronx or wherever they are.
Brooklyn, I think. Brooklyn.
Yeah, it was Brooklyn.
Mario's from Brooklyn.
He gives her this eyeball up and down, like checking her out, and it was the most you can't do that in a movie now like moment. It was just I felt uncomfortable.
That's the early 90s, right? Like that's the 80s and early 90s. That's pretty common.
So bad.
Did he call her Toots? Because I feel like there should have been a Toots in there or something.
Yeah, or babe or girl.
Right.
They're the beginning of I can't remember the name of the video store, but they drive by a video store, and there's an Easter egg in the movie. The video store was named what they almost called Super Mario before the Super Mario became Super Mario video game.
Okay.
I forget the name of I don't know, I can't remember the name, but
okay.
They I think it might be when their car didn't break down this. That's the other movie. But
no.
At some point.
That happens in both, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
the plumbing van has issues. Was that like a callback? Did you think that was a callback?
That is something we didn't talk about in the other movie review. I immediately, because I elbowed my son during the movie, he had fucking no idea because he's never seen this horrible old 1993 movie. Mm-hmm. But for me, I thought that was actually kind of cool that they did a callback to that, and essentially kind of the same overall way of how they get to the Mushroom Kingdom is by going to fix
this big
some type of plumbing thing underground in Brooklyn. I did like that. I liked that callback.
I felt like it was a callback because the van breaks down, right, and like Bob Hoskins is working on the van. John Leguizamo's handing him tools and stuff, which I felt was very much like how the new movie was, right? So, callback. Okay, so you're talking about Samantha Mathis's Daisy character and phone in interacting like she was a high school drama dropout.
I think it was less. I don't think she was phoning it in. I think she was trying to be so good.
Yeah, she was. She was hard. It was hard. The lines were tough, right? So Dennis Hopper is a fantastic actor. Like if you haven't seen Hoosiers or Blue Velvet, he's awesome. He's a bad guy in Waterworld. I think we talked about Waterworld, right? Like,
he's fucking awesome.
Speed. He's the bad guy in Speed. Like it's Dennis Hopper.
He's Dennis, the same bad
Easy
guy
Rider.
In every movie.
Dennis Hopper's awesome, right? Like him as King Koopa. They never call him Bowser. He's just King Koopa.
Why?
I don't know.
Did they not call him
Maybe Bowser? Maybe they couldn't say Bowser. I don't know. But I think Bowser was already called Bowser back then. But he was Bowser, King of the Koopas. I just don't know if he's going to give a shit? Like, we're just going to call him. He was awful. Dennis Hopper was awful. There's probably the only movie I can say Dennis Hopper was outacted by John Leguizamo. It's probably the only time you can say that. Because
That's accurate. That's accurate.
Dennis Hopper wasn't in The Pest, so like I can say that, right? Like,
don't you knock The Pest?
I'm not knocking The Pest.
We'll have to talk about The Pest in one of these episodes.
That's like a 6 episode thing. That's
like 140.
Dennis Hopper obviously was collecting a paycheck and didn't give a shit. I mean, it's bad.
So I was just looking into some of the nerddom on this before we were doing the show, just to really dive in with the movie. It's almost like infamous for its rewrites and basically being kind of what I would say kind of like the new Justice League theater version. It was nothing that it was supposed to be when it originally started. Like everything changed.
Yeah, and you and I talked about this too. Like we just referenced Super Mario Brothers 2, the video game was originally something else, right? Like when we watched this movie, it felt like it was a different movie and they slapped Super Mario Brothers on it, right? Like there's this whole evolution, the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs actually just opened up an alternate dimension, and the dinosaurs are there, and it's this like RoboCop, Detroit, futuristic underground city.
Blade Runner meets Fifth Element.
It doesn't
kind of vibes.
It doesn't seem like it has anything to do with Super Mario Brothers whatsoever, other than they've named characters that. Like a Goomba in the game is an evil little mushroom with teeth and legs. A Goomba in this movie is a 7-foot tall, tiny-headed lizard with a trench coat.
Yes. Which they are nightmare fuel.
What are we talking about? It's the dumbest thing in the world. Like who came up with this design and said like, oh, Goomba, mushroom, little tiny lizard head, like,
or guy with spiral hair, and we'll give him a guitar and we'll just call him Toad.
We're just gonna call him Toad.
We'll just call him Toad.
The talking mushroom is now the little helpful mushroom guy is a harmonica playing tiny headed lizard with a spiral haircut.
Or the Mushroom
what are we talking
King
about?
Is a giant booger all over the entire city.
Yeah. Well, that's
like,
that's
the fuck?
The mushroom. It's literally a mushroom kingdom because it's just fungus everywhere. It's asinine.
It doesn't even look like it. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Now,
which for me, I loved it as a kid because nothing felt like it was Super Mario, and then all of a sudden they put on their red shirt and overalls,
right?
And green shirt and overalls, and it was like, well, I guess they weren't even overalls; they were like
a jumpsuit. Yeah, it's like a jumpsuit.
They were like a working suit.
So we even talked about the part where they're in the nightclub, right? And they have to get the rock back from Big Bertha, who in the game Big Bertha's a fucking fish
in the game,
and she's a nightclub bouncer in this movie. So when they have to get the rock back from Big Bertha, they didn't even take the opportunity to put Mario in a red suit and Luigi in a green suit. Like
they put him in
it's
weird
like yellow
colors.
and orange. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they went Dumb and Dumber goes to Aspen. They put him in essentially the same suits from Dumb and Dumber when they wore the blue and orange.
Like
I couldn't agree more.
Like Macklemore bought that suit at a thrift shop. Like that's how shitty these suits are, right?
Facts.
So that they have the 90% of this movie, 95% of this movie, Mario and Luigi are wearing like street clothes. Like we're not even attempting to make them red and green. Like nothing.
Other than that, they were plumbers, and their name was Mario and Luigi. There was no Super Mario.
Yeah.
In this at all.
So,
however, fun facts.
Yes.
Did you know who was originally cast? And we talked about this actor for a separate role in a separate movie. Do you know who was originally cast as Super Mario for this?
Captain Lou Albano.
That would have been great.
That's the TV show.
Absolutely incorrect. No.
You remember that? Do you remember
Danny
that old TV
DeVito.
show? Danny DeVito is Mario. Okay.
Danny DeVito was supposed to, and guess who was supposed to be the bad guy?
Who?
Arnold Schwarzenegger was the original King Koopa for this movie.
Shut up.
Yes.
I did not know that.
The design for the character actually looks way more like Bowser, but it's Arnold Schwarzenegger designed version of Bowser.
I can see you saying Danny DeVito and you get Bob Hoskins. I don't see how you say Arnold Schwarzenegger and you get Dennis Hopper with lizard cornrows, right? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, the design, they actually had like the long, actually looks a lot like Jack Black from the music video is what the original design for Bowser was. So
Arnold Schwarzenegger would have been a better actor in that movie.
Facts. Okay.
Facts. 100%.
Can we, maybe this is the time where I die on a hill. Arnold Schwarzenegger's not that bad of an actor.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's a very specific actor. Like
he's the same person in every movie.
He can deliver comedic lines, you know, that kind of thing. But we know what he is. Yeah, like, come on, do it. You know,
you down.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Dylan,
you know, yeah. You know. So, okay, so we've shit on this movie for a good 10 minutes. Bob Hoskins as Mario is awesome.
Fucking awesome.
Bob Hoskins is one of the most underrated actors. And I almost want to blame this movie for ruining his career. I mean, so you were a little kid when this movie came out, right? And I was a little older kid. But like we had Bob Hoskins in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which was like when I stayed home sick from school, that was my movie. Like I was like I watched Price is Right in the morning and I watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit after lunch. Like that when I was sick at home. We had that, we had Mario, and then he was Smee in Hook. Like a lot of people don't like that movie either, but like he was Mr. Smee. Like that's Bob Hoskins is a rock star.
We were talking about that with him being in this movie. I mean, we had to go through the movies that he's in because we're like, this movie is so memorable, because of him. Yes, and then we jumped on to like, man, for a guy, he did like no movies. Roger Rabbit, and Super Mario.
Well, he had a really weird career. He had a weird career. Yeah, you know, like I don't know how many people know that he was British. You know. Yeah. Because like he did that accent in Roger Rabbit and that accent in Mario, like so I don't know if it was well done or so over the top that it was like that's how I think Bob Hoskins talks, right? Like that's his voice. He's not British. There's no way.
Smee is me.
Yeah.
You know, like he was never a British guy in any movie that we saw.
Right. We talked about the only thing I could think of was Unleashed with Jet Li. Like where he's
where he's like
the bad guy, right? And he's got that real thick British accent. And then we were looking it up. His final film role before he died, he was one of the dwarfs in Snow White and the Huntsman. Yeah, which that wasn't the best movie, but like I had forgotten who all the dwarves were, but that is he was one of them. So,
well, when you talk about it in terms of like main character, though, we were right. Like he was the main character. He had a weird career. Movies and. But everybody our age knows him
from those two movies,
like because of those two movies.
Right. John Leguizamo, I thought was his acting was a little all over the place, but it worked for being he was the idiot younger brother.
He was supposed to be the dummy.
He played the idiot younger brother really well, and same thing with Bob Hoskins. Like he's had a really weird career.
Yes.
Like I remember this because it was I think it was 97. He was Spawn. He was Violator.
Oh yeah,
Spawn movie.
The clown.
And he was the top billed actor in that movie. He got paid the most. He was the number one name on like the marquee and stuff. It was.
I did not know that.
But like he's one of those guys that's like he's in a lot of movies, but he's never like one of the top 3 or 4 people, right? Like he showed up in John Wick.
Yeah,
he's in Moulin Rouge. I'm just trying to think of,
he's in
tons of movies.
Tons of movies.
Yes,
we've talked off camera about this a million times, but The Pest is a movie of my childhood that we watched all the time. It's a VHS that we have. Your wife actually is a big Pest
loves
fan
that movie.
as well. So
she made me watch it when we were dating, and I was like, "What's wrong with you?" I should have got away from her then.
So bad. You should have learned. But here you are. Your new best friend is
people also likes The Pest.
Yeah. So I mean, it took me moving from Sacramento, California to Nebraska to finally meet another person who, one, has seen that movie, but two, loved that movie.
Yes, right. You found the other person.
Yes. So for me, John Leguizamo has always been an actor that I watched as a kid that like I point out to people of like, oh, that's John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
Like you should know this guy, but you don't because he's in a bunch of movies you've seen, but you don't know him.
Right now he's hosting the Daily Show. Right now,
I did not know
a
that.
Temporary assignment until they find a new permanent host. But
I did not know that.
He's all over the place.
Him and Romeo and Juliet as Tybalt. I fucking loved that. So I love him as Sid the Sloth.
Yeah,
he's an all-time character that
absolutely
people will know and kids will remember.
You talk with a lisp. You talk with a lisp, and all of a sudden, kids are like, "Oh, Sid!" I mean, that's.
Anytime I change a diaper and it doesn't have poop in it, I will fake throw it at and say, "It's here."
So they were great. The rest of the movie's crap. The single best line in the entire movie. I think you and I both laughed for 5 minutes.
Let's say it at the same time.
Daisy's like, she goes up to Mario and because he doesn't know his girlfriend's trapped in the Mushroom Kingdom.
There's no fucking clue.
No idea she's there.
About her there at all.
And Daisy brings her up and he says, and I quote, I forgot I was supposed to take her to WrestleMania. He's like, oh, I forgot I was supposed to take her to WrestleMania. Like, who wrote that?
I'm a wrestling fan, like mainly old school 90s and 80s wrestling. So that popped me. Like I was fuck yeah.
Oh man. I thought I was going to have to pause the movie. I was laughing so damn hard. Like, what is going on? There was no that line had no business. No, it makes no sense. It's like zero sense.
They never talk about it. There's not a deleted scene where they talk about WrestleMania or wrestling or her. He had no idea she was even there. Right. And then when he finds out she's there and that he can go save her, he immediately goes, oh, shoot, I was supposed to take her to
WrestleMania. Right.
Not like, where is she? Let me go save her.
It's so random. Anyway, so Kyle, I went first on the last movie. How would you rate the 1993 classic Super Mario Brothers?
So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna give there's a 1 out of 10 rating that I'm gonna bring into our podcast, even though it's number 1. So it's just gonna seem like it's an all the time thing. Yeah, but it's not. It's only gonna be when we have moments like this. I'm gonna do this is my 10 out of 10 in legit rankings against other movies, what kind of movie it is. And then I'm going to bring over this awesome, so bad it's good, out of 10 movies.
It's so bad
it's good out of 10. Overall movie, as a kid, I didn't think it was a great movie, but I liked it as a kid. Watching that again, it's got to be a 1. you know what? I'll give it a 2 because of the main character's acting. So 2 main characters acting.
Okay, so I'm not bullshitting you. I was literally about to say 2 stars out of 10, a star for Bob Hoskins, and a star for John Leguizamo. That's exactly what I'm doing. He gets 2 for that, and that's it.
Oh my god.
That's it.
Oh, on the it's so bad it's good scale, it's definitely an 8. It is so bad that it's good. Ooh. It's so bad that it's good.
Okay, listen, so there are movies that I think are awesomely bad. I use the term awesomely bad, right?
What's your top awesomely bad movie?
Oh boy, I would have to sit and think about that for a while. I don't have that off the top of my head.
Well, give us a one so we know what you're talking about.
Awesomely bad. The Rundown with The Rock and Stifler. Sean William Scott.
I love that movie.
But it's awesomely
Surf
bad.
Ninja's in that. Jacked as hell.
Boy,
dude's up.
On the it's so bad it's good scale. For nostalgia purposes, I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay.
6.
It's worth coming back to every 10 years.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. That's fair. If only for the I forgot to take her. I'm supposed to take her to WrestleMania.
That's going to be our first T-shirt. We're going to get for our podcast.
I mean, I would recommend that's the kind of movie that you pop an edible and you watch that. That's what you do.
Which we did.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to give awesomely bad movie. Ghost Dog.
Oh yeah,
Forrest Whitaker. It's awful.
Forrest Whitaker is so bad. Samurai, a modern
so bad that it's good. All right, so those are our 2 movie reviews of the week: the 2023 Super Mario Brothers and the 1993 Super Mario Brothers. All right, so those are our scores. So the next segment, there can be only 5. Where we will rank subjects 5 to 1 each week. So this week we're going to do Mario games, and we're going to do we're doing straightforward Mario, kind of the platform game. We're not doing Smash Bros, like Mario Kart. It's kind of cheating. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to do video game movies. So I'm going to start with my Mario games. Number 5, the OG. Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo Entertainment System is number 5. It's a classic. It's probably the first game most people my age played. It's
you're older than me.
Yeah, thanks. I know. But it's classic. Everybody knows. You can show a screenshot of that. The theme song is from that game. That's number 5. Number 4.
That's flagpole. And the level is flagpole.
Dun-na-na-na-na.
Yep.
All
of them have that.
Number 4, Mario Odyssey. Coming all the way back to the newer game, right? Mario Odyssey. It's a great game.
It's great.
It's great. They did a great job. The innovation with Cappy, the 3D world, the whole thing. It's a great game. Number 3,
I did enjoy it.
Number 3, which used to be my all-time favorite, Mario 64. When I played that game, it's one of those. When I got a Nintendo 64 for Christmas that year, that game was magical to me. It was it's Mario in a 3D setting. This is fantastic. Changed my life. Right. Number 2. Going back to the original NES again, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh.
So we've got the raccoon Mario. We've got the warp whistles. The Bowser fight at the end was you're getting out of his way and he's pushing holes in the floor and then he ends up killing himself. It's awesome. That game.
Yep.
That game's fantastic. It had the first appearance of the Koopa Kids, right? Where the airships, all that. A lot of famous characters came out in that game. Mario 3 is number 2. Number 1.
Yeah, I feel like Mario 3 was where they really went. They took the things that they did really well.
Yes.
And they kept it. And then they added let's fucking ramp this up even more.
Yeah. And then number 1.
Number 1 is obvious.
Oh, I don't know. It's Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. There's no doubt about it. It's the greatest Mario game of all time. I don't think it's up for debate. Like, that's the game. Like, with the cape and Yoshi. Like, we got Yoshi in that game.
Yeah,
we brought the kids back. Like, all the worlds. Yeah, it's 2-player. You had the little exclamation blocks, the yellow, the green, that you filled in. Like,
massive
that
world.
Bowser fight where he's in the little clown copter at the end. That's all time.
It's memorable.
That game is the only like old school Mario game I will take up and I will play again. Like, I will sit there and play. I'll sometimes put in, like, I got a Nintendo Switch. I'll play old Mario. I'll play old Mario 2. I'll play old Mario 3. I'll play Super Mario World front to back. Let's go. That game fucking rocks.
I love how much is in that game. I love that there's secret levels. There's like
Star Road, all that. Yeah.
It's great.
What you got?
Love that. My top five, my number 5, Super Mario Odyssey. I really enjoyed that game.
It's good.
It was the perfect modern Super Mario. It was like Super Mario 64, but like not a clunky old game. Loved it. Number 4, Super Mario 64. Love that game. It's a classic. I didn't own an N64 as a kid. We were PlayStation people in my house. But our best friend in the neighborhood had an N64, and we would go play Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Mario 64. And it's a childhood memory of mine. Super Mario 3 is number 3 for me. Just like we talked about. It was, the raccoon thing being added was awesome. That made that game great. It was super colorful, which I think Super Mario 2 was really not colorful. Wasn't that like kind of dark and brown or black and white? Or maybe
it was kind of, it's kind of trippy too. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was just kind of a weird thing. So like that was great. Here's my top 2. They're going to throw you for a loop. Number 2, Mario Teaches Typing. You don't even know what that game is.
I don't know what that is.
When I was a kid in school, we took classes to learn how to type. It is literally Super Mario 1, but in a typing game. Like you have to type out letters.
I have no idea what this is. I've never even heard of it.
You have to YouTube this.
I feel like you just crossed over to a level of nerddom that I don't even understand. Like you've just incorporated school and learning with Mario.
Well, I'm not that big of I wouldn't say that I'm like a Mario nerd.
What's number 1? Mario Paint?
No.
Okay.
Mario Teaches Typing for me and maybe like kids my age or at least the kids that went to my elementary school. Like it was the coolest fucking class ever because we were in school and you're going to go play Super Mario. And like you're typing out letters trying to beat the time frame on the level and get to the flag. And how you type things and get it done determined like the top of the flagpole or the bottom of the flagpole. My number 1 video game of all time. This was the very first video game that I remember as a kid us owning, was for the Super Nintendo, Super Mario World. Hands down, number 1 Super Mario game.
So we have the same number 1. We have the same number 1.
We have the same number 1. You didn't think I had that though. My reaction.
No, because you were throwing me for a loop when I said it.
It is the greatest. It is in, and I think we've talked about our top 5 like video games of all time. I don't remember if we mentioned that. Maybe we did, but it is an all-time Hall of Fame greatest game of all time. It's
Best
up in there.
Side scroller ever, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a game that you can at any point go back and play and have a blast with.
And have a fun. It's a fun time.
We were just at, it's the 2 days after Easter. We were at my in-laws' house, and Grayson and I, my oldest, we plugged the Switch into the console, into the TV, popped the 2 Joy-Cons, turned them sideways, and him and I took turns playing that.
That's awesome.
It was the first time that he's played it. and it took a little bit getting used to playing it on the tiny little
Oh, sure.
Joy-Con.
Yeah.
But man, he was having a blast. Yoshi, what an innovative game changer for Mario.
I didn't even think about this. Remember, like when you see, like you watch like little clips on Instagram or whatever like that, when you see like all the Mario Maker, like the insane hard levels, you see those? You ever see those videos?
Yep.
They're all in the Super Mario World style, right? Like,
yes,
that's how it's done. Like they all know. Everybody knows.
Facts.
They know.
It's the greatest Super Mario game ever made.
Yeah.
There's no debate.
Hands down. There's no debate.
No argument.